Okay, hi there. My name is Danielle Crumley, and this is my final project for CSCI E29 at Harvard Extension School. I used Python 3 and some machine learning functionality to build a model that predicts the mental health status outcome variable. That was my outcome variable of U.S. veterans of the Vietnam War based on a bunch of predictor variables. This course was offered in the spring of 2018, and this is our teaching staff. Okay, just going over quickly what I did. My goal was I start with a bunch of raw survey data, and I built a model to predict the mental health status of U.S. veterans of the Vietnam War based on a bunch of different predictor variables. I engineered all the variables myself and ended up using only binary data, so yes/no data for both the predictors and the response variable. And in the end, the best model I was able to achieve was just over 70% accurate in predicting the binary mental health status of the veterans. Okay, so in this project, we'll switch over the code soon, but I used these Python libraries, NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. And you can download my Jupyter Notebook file as well as the raw data from my GitHub account here. And these are some references that I used when I was working on the project, which I also listed on the Jupyter Notebook. So let me just walk through the code now. Here are the import to start out with, and this is just reading in the raw data from the text file. So one of the big challenges of this data set is it's very old. The survey data was collected in 1985, and it looks like this. It's in a text file, and they've got a data dictionary that goes along with it that tells you kind of how to decipher it and how many characters are used for each variable. So the large majority of the code in here is just me going through and getting the data to be in, kind of a recognizable format that we can use. Here's the pandas data frame we're looking for. The columns are from the raw survey data, and the responses, and of course each row represents one respondent. Okay, so next I was just renaming the columns in the data frame to be a little more descriptive, and also selecting kind of variables that I was interested in, and that would be relevant to my project because there's just so much data, so many different questions in this survey. All right, okay, and then next I filtered out. I only wanted to include veterans of the Vietnam War, and this data set actually included some other veterans who were on active duty but not in the Vietnam War, so I filtered them out. And these are some different categories I was selecting of different survey questions related to what I thought would be X predictor variables, as well as the Y variables that I thought were really related to mental health. So I'm trying to build my features as well as the outcome variable. So starting with the Y variable, I went through, and again, you can read the data dictionary if you're interested, and read about the questions that I picked out that I thought were related to mental health. And basically, I manually engineered my own summary mental health outcome score just by adding up basically the responses to some different questions and then binarizing it so that I got 0 mental health score is a better score, and then 1 indicates worse mental health in theory. I also wanted to see if I could use PCA to help me combine these different survey questions into one mental health outcome score instead of just arbitrarily adding them together as I did myself. So I tried to do that, even though I know generally PCA is used for continuous data, and my data is all categorical. I thought, since I'm combining a bunch of them, and then I split it up again into binary data. I split up the results from the PCA into binary data, but this didn't actually end up being any better, the outcome variable from PCA, than my own outcome variable, at least in the models that I tried. Anyway, okay, moving on to X variables. Same thing, the large majority of this code is just me filling in missing values. Generally, I filled them in with the most common response. Just so much data, so much data. Just cleaning the data and binarizing everything. The one thing I did, I also tried to use PCA to build a summary X variable that would represent opinions about the U.S. war tactics. There are several questions about, do you think the U.S. tactics were justified or not? So I tried to use PCA to build a summary variable about that to reduce the dimensionality. So let's see. In the end, I got to a bunch of features that I was interested in. I just looked at a quick correlation matrix, filtered out some that didn't seem to be as relevant. And then I tested out a bunch of models, was tweaking the variables as I was testing them. And in the end, I tried out a bunch of different models, and the best I was able to get, the best result was always around 72, 73% was the best I was able to get, even with tweaking different variables and different models. I think one of the main setbacks is there was a lot of missing data, and I was filling it in with the most common response, and that really kind of limits your ability to that's very limiting, and your ability to be able to separate the data. But I couldn't delete it all because then I would be deleting half the data set. So yeah, that was my project. Thank you very much.